Hello, health seekers. Rich here from the Keto Pro. This is our introduction to a low-carb ketogenic lifestyle. If you are along your journey and you are well advanced, this video is not for you. This is for anyone who is beginning their low-carb ketogenic journey. Enjoy.
Hey, Rich, what is the keto diet?
To understand what the keto diet or ketosis are, we need to understand a little more about energy. Typically, we consume carbohydrate in our diet, things like bread, pasta, rice, potatoes, even chocolate and sweets. All of these things contain carbohydrates that our body converts into glucose, a type of sugar that we use for energy. Using glucose for energy is called glycolysis. Ketosis is similar, except instead of using sugar for energy, the body uses ketones for energy. Glucose we get from carbohydrate, ketones we get from fats. These fats could be dietary fat or even stored body fat. So ketosis is a metabolic state, just as glycolysis is. Except ketosis is our natural metabolic state. It's the metabolic state we're born in. It's the metabolic state we've evolved in during our entire existence. In fact, if you were to put man's entire existence into a 365-day calendar, we have been ketogenic for 364. So this isn't a new concept, and it's certainly no fad. This is the way we are designed to live. It's only since the introduction of modern farming and the food industry wanting to sell their carbohydrate-based products, such as cereals, have we moved away from our evolutionary appropriate diet.
So, Rich, how does ketosis work?
Simple. We begin by reducing, restricting, or completely removing the carbohydrate from our diet. As we do this, our body begins to deplete all of its stored carbohydrate. Now, when we eat carbohydrate, the body stores much of it in the muscle and some in the liver in the form of glycogen. We must first use this up before we can become ketogenic. This can take anywhere between 1 to 3 days, depending on how much carbohydrate or glycogen you have stored. Once the stored carbohydrate has been depleted, the body switches back to its primary metabolic state of burning fat. This is ketosis. The body now breaks down dietary fat and body fat and converts them into ketones. We use these ketones for energy.
What can I expect when I go keto in the early stages?
When beginning our ketogenic journey, many of us are coming from a state of insulin resistance. Now, to find out more about this, please see our video on diabetes. Now, insulin resistance retains sodium within the body. So when we begin to correct this, insulin drops, it signals the kidneys to release sodium from the body, leading to what's known as the dreaded keto flu. The keto flu can lead to fatigue, feeling nauseous, brain fog, a general sense of not feeling well. This is because sodium is very important to our health, contrary to popular belief, and it should not be feared. By adding sodium into our meals or supplementing with a quality electrolyte, such as our Keto Pro electrolytes, this can heavily negate the effects of the keto flu, if not completely resolve them. But it's important to remember that we are coming from a lifetime of eating carbohydrate to heavily reducing. The body will go through lots of changes, so it's perfectly normal not to feel 100% during the initial transition phase. But the end result will be worth it.
You've told me to not fear salt, but isn't salt bad for me?
No. Sodium is an electrolyte that is essential for life. We get much of the electrolyte from the food that we eat, but modern food is heavily devoid of valuable minerals that we need to thrive. This study covers over 100,000 participants over 17 countries and shows that all-cause mortality or death increases greatly when we consume less than 1,500 milligrams of sodium per day, with many thriving around 4,000 to 6,000 milligrams per day. I personally consume closer to 10,000 milligrams per day. The fear of sodium comes from the thinking that it increases blood pressure and leads to heart attack. This, however, is false. As we have stated previously, the offending compound here is elevated insulin. Elevated insulin retains sodium within the body, leading to high blood pressure. But the insulin is the root cause, not the sodium. Once we have addressed the elevated insulin, our blood pressure recovers.
What can I expect after my body adapts to the ketogenic diet?
As your body adjusts to utilizing ketones, you can expect to see an increase in energy, both physical and mental. The brain, the body, and the heart all preference ketones. So our body works better and our brain thrives, giving you a mental clarity like never before. Energy crashes will become less and less until you barely get them at all. Hunger and cravings for carbs will become less and less. And ketones help with inflammation, so aches and pains are massively improved, if not completely resolved. The whole body begins to heal and repair. You'll feel a general sense of well-being. The ketogenic diet has been used to help people with all sorts of health issues, ranging from diabetes to dementia and even cancer. This feeling of general well-being is reported by many to keep improving for as much as 12 months. So any benefits seen in the early stages is just going to get better.
Is the ketogenic diet dangerous?
Not at all. Remember, this is our natural metabolic state. This is the way humans are meant to live. Much of the negative information you see is based on poor research and misconception. Many of the modern illnesses and diseases we know of come from two things: insulin resistance and inflammation. Being ketogenic improves insulin resistance and blocks inflammation. This is why so many living the lifestyle report significant health improvements. Following a stricter ketogenic lifestyle would also see the removal of many toxic compounds found in the modern diet, namely vegetable oils or seed oils. These oils are high in an oxidized omega-6 called linoleic acid, which damages the liver, leading to insulin resistance, as well as causing oxidative damage to the cells, which can last for years. We have a video explaining more about the science behind this in the link below.
Isn't it dangerous to eat fat because it's going to raise my cholesterol?
So there are a number of things to address here. The first being, everything that we have been taught about cholesterol is incorrect. Cholesterol is in fact essential for life, and we should not fear it. We have been told since the 1950s that saturated fats lead to heart disease. This study came from a man by the name of Ansel Keys, and all of the fears of fat came from this one study. This study has since been disproven many times, and Ansel Keys was in fact paid to falsify his research by sugar companies such as Kellogg's. So they could sell you breakfast cereal instead of you eating a heart-healthy breakfast of bacon and eggs cooked in butter. Also remember, every cell within the body is made of protein. Every cell in the body is made of fat. The brain is 60% saturated fat. The myelin sheath that sends signals throughout the body is made of cholesterol. Cholesterol is essential for cell formation, cell communication, nutrient absorption, nutrient transportation. It's essential for the production of hormones, and we need it for a healthy immune system. Now, secondly, you may see an increase in cholesterol, but this is in fact your body adjusting back to its natural physiological level after years of suppression by those toxic seed oils. The takeaway here is not to fear cholesterol if you are living a low-carb, ketogenic, or carnivore lifestyle. For more information on cholesterol, we've put a link below.
What about red meat? I mean, red meat causes cancer, right?
Wrong again. More information spread by the pharmaceutical and sugar companies. Now, most of our fear of red meat comes from the International Agency for Research on Cancer, a report carried out in 2015. The title of this report classified the consumption of red meat as probably carcinogenic to humans, when in fact, the results of this paper showed the opposite. Another example of information manipulation. This paper covers 800 studies, of which 6 were experimental. 3 of these were done on rodents, in which they injected the rodents with carcinogens genuinely, and then deemed that the red meat had caused the cancer. The other 3 studies contained groups of people that were drinking soft drinks and eating processed foods like pizza and burgers and processed foods, which we know increase risk of cancer. So the reality is that not one of these 800 studies actually showed red meat causes cancer, with the majority of the epidemiology studies cited conferring a benefit to eating red meat. Animal proteins are the most nutrient-dense food on the planet, with grass-fed beef and lamb being superior. Animal proteins contain every vitamin and mineral that we need, not just to survive, but thrive. The amino acids in proteins are broken down by the body and reconstituted into human proteins, making DNA and healing and repairing our entire body. Animal proteins also contain more vitamins and minerals than vegetables do.
So you're saying meat contains more nutrients than vegetables? No way, that can't be true.
Okay, let's break it down one by one. As you can see from the slide attached, vegetables do not contain vitamin A, which is crazy, right? My mother used to tell me to eat my carrots for retinol, which is true vitamin A, so I could see in the dark. But carrots do not contain retinol. They contain beta-carotene, the plant version of vitamin A, not the human form, which is a precursor that needs to be acted upon by an enzyme called BCMO in order to convert it into the active form of vitamin A. But in order to do this, it's depleted by 21 times, making the amount of bioavailable vitamin A close to zero. B vitamins are also very low in plants, with vitamin B12 or cobalamin being non-existent. This is why anyone eating a low animal protein diet, such as being a vegan or vegetarian, may need to supplement with vitamin B12. Vitamin D does not exist in plants. We get this from the sun, with most for many coming from animal proteins. Vitamin K, also not available in plants. Despite your pack of kale telling you that it is a good source of vitamin K, there is in fact no bioavailable vitamin K in plants. Plants contain vitamin K1, the human body needs vitamin K2. And contrary to popular belief, vitamin C is also found in animal proteins. Now, the interesting thing when it comes to vitamin C is that it competes for absorption through the same metabolic pathway as carbohydrate. So when we reduce carbohydrate, our requirement for vitamin C becomes less. Then we have things like choline, creatine, carnitine, carnosine. All of these things we can only get from animal proteins. Every vitamin and mineral we need, not just to survive, but thrive, can be found in abundance in animal proteins. We do not need to consume any vegetables whatsoever. Now, that doesn't mean I'm telling you not to consume any vegetables, but it's important to highlight the fact that we need animal proteins, and a diet focused on health and well-being should always be preferencing them over anything else. We certainly should not be fearing animal proteins.
What can I eat on a keto diet?
Very simple. So if you follow this simple process, you'll be heading down the path to improving your health and well-being very quickly. Now, eat anything that has been hit directly by sunlight, animal proteins, meats, eggs, fish, for example, and any vegetables that grow above the ground with the exception of grains. And remember to salt your meals with a quality salt, a rock salt or sea salt. These contain electrolytes, and electrolytes are very important. So you may want to supplement with a quality electrolyte. We have a link below for this. Replace your vegetable and seed oils for fat that is hard at room temperature, such as butter, tallow, lard, or ghee, or simply cook your meat in its own juices. Limit the amount of carbohydrate you consume to less than 20 grams, to 20 grams or less. But eat as much animal protein as you like. In fact, preference your animal proteins, beef, lamb, chicken, any protein that you can think of. And certainly do not fear protein, or fat for that matter. Eating fat does not make you fat. Eat when you're hungry and eat to satiety. If you're not hungry, don't eat. Stop when you're full. If you're living the lifestyle for fat loss, also remember, contrary to popular belief, it's not the calories that govern whether we lose body fat. We have another video on this in the link below. Also, for recipe ideas, there's a link below for this too, along with a shopping list to get you started. If you are advanced, this video is not for you. This is basic information for someone new to the ketogenic or low carb lifestyle.